Hey everybody, welcome to Kids Crafternoon with Christina. Today we're going to be making this really cute little cloud mobile. Oops, my clouds are tangled up. That you can hang in your room or on a doorknob. This sample has needle felted clouds attached to it, but you can also make them raindrops. So whatever you want to do, you can do. What you need for this project is a 1/4 yard of fabric, a 1/4 yard of batting. You need felt or roving and needle felting needles if you're gonna needle felt, of course. You're gonna need a hand needle. You're gonna need some transparent thread to hang your clouds or raindrops or whatever on. You're also gonna need a piece of paper and a pencil to make a pattern, some paper cutting scissors, some pins, some fabric cutting scissors, and a sewing machine. And we're gonna do tiniest bit of ironing, but not much. This is how we're gonna make this thing. First, what you're gonna do, and I've already done this just for the sake of this video, I just took a regular sheet of paper, just an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of paper, and I drew a simple cloud shape. Now, I wanna tell you that you probably need to be pretty simple in this cloud shape because you're gonna have to sew around this, and the more cloud lumps there are, the more difficult your sewing gets. If you want to have a really lumpy cloud, you can do that. But I suggest, maybe at least for your first one, make a pretty simple shape. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 kind of bumps coming off of this cloud. So make it pretty simple. And I made it about the whole size of the paper, you know, maybe a little bit less, but you can do whatever you want. The first thing you're going to do after you make your pattern and cut it out with some paper cutting scissors, just set that aside, and then you're going to take your fabric. So this is my 1/4 yard of fabric. I'm going to flip it so it's right sides together, and I'm going to fold it, not completely in half. I'm going to fold it so that I have 2 layers, but then my cloud pattern fits right on there. I don't want to fold it all the way in half, because if I folded it all the way in half, then I would lose this extra fabric, and I like to have extra fabric because I like to do stuff with scraps. So all I'm going to do here is put my pattern on my fabric, then I'm going to trace around my cloud shape. And you can use a pencil for this, or tailor's chalk, or it doesn't really matter because you're going to be cutting this out. Just generally tracing around my cloud shape. Doesn't have to be perfect. Get out of the way. There's my cloud shape. Then I'm going to open up my batting. Now this batting that I have is pretty thin. I'm going to use 2 layers of that batting. If you have thicker batting, just use 1 layer. Make it, you know, pretty thick, or as thick as you want it to be. I'm going to put my cloud, my traced cloud shape, on the top of my 2 layers of batting. I'm going to just cut this extra off to get it out of the way. And I definitely want you to stack it like this, because after we cut it all out, I'm going to pin it first and then cut it out, and then we don't have to mess around with anything else before we sew it because it's already in the order that it needs to be stacked. Now I'm going to scoop some pins through all my layers just to kind of keep everything together. And maybe I'll put a couple pins in the middle just so things stay together. And I'm going to take some fabric cutting scissors and I'm going to cut this whole thing out. Now we're going to sew this together. Before you sew it together, you want to make sure to put your piece of ribbon or rickrack or whatever you want to use to hang your cloud up. You want to actually separate the 2 layers of just the fabric. Remember, we have fabric right side together, and then we have the 2 layers of batting behind that. It's basically fabric right side together and then just your layers of batting. I want my hanger to be up here. So what I'm going to do is take my ribbon, fold it in half, and tuck it in between my 2 layers of fabric, like that. And then there's my 2 ends of my ribbon. If I can get them apart, there you go. And I'm going to pin it to there. And I might move my pin just so it goes through all my layers, or at least my layers of fabric. And I think for good measure, I'm gonna stick another pin just next to it through all of my layers. So most of my pins are going through my fabric, all the way through my batting too. Now I'm gonna sew this. I wanna make sure to leave an opening so I can turn it all right side out. It's easier to leave an opening where it's somewhat flat. I wouldn't wanna do it here where there's a point. I wanna do it probably over here or over there where it's flat, because then I have to hand sew that shut, and it's gonna be a lot easier to sew closed if it's flat rather than curved. I'm just gonna mark it with my pencil. Really think I wanna leave, and you're leaving maybe 2-ish, 1.5 to 2-ish inches. I'm gonna leave between there and there open for turning right side out. This part is why you wanna have a pretty simple cloud shape. I'm gonna start at my first mark, and you're gonna do about a 3/8 inch seam allowance. 3/8 to 1/2 inch is fine. And when I go to one of these points, I'm gonna pivot, just so that I make sure that I have nice points for my cloud lobes. My needle's down, I'm gonna lift my presser foot. I've spun my cloud, put my presser foot back down, making sure that the right edge of my presser foot is lining up with the right edge of the fabric. This is where my ribbon is hanging right there, so I'm going to probably just do a little back stitch over that just to make sure that ribbon really stays in there. And I'm just curving as I sew. Here's another angle, so needle down, presser foot up, spin my fabric, put my presser foot back down. And I'm going to continue to sew around the rest of this cloud. As I come around to my other mark, I'm going to make sure and backstitch. And I don't think I said, I did make sure and backstitch when I started this as well. It's just always a really good habit to be into, to backstitch. Now that I have my cloud shape sewn, I'm going to go through and clip. I want to make sure and really clip as close as I can to that angle right there. Get into those angles close as you can get it, but don't go through your stitches, because then you will have a hole. I'm going to try and get pretty close. That's actually darn close. I'm going to clip all of my points and try real hard to not go through my stitches. After I do all my points, I'm going to clip all of my curves. What this does is it helps the cloud shape to come out a little bit nicer, because when you clip it, when you turn it right side out, the fabric kind of separates or kind of opens up like that, and if you have those clips, it helps the fabric to relax when you turn it right side out. So I'm just going to go ahead and clip all the way around this, probably about a 1/2 inch in between all of my clips. Make sure that you don't go through your stitches. If you do, it's not the end of the world. Now that I've clipped all around my cloud, I think that's pretty good, I'm going to turn this whole thing right side out. And hopefully I left a big enough opening. I tend to not want to leave too big of an opening, because then you have to hand sew that closed. If you didn't give yourself enough of an opening, you can always bust a few stitches just to make that opening a little bit bigger. Just finished turning the whole thing out through the opening right there, and it's all wrinkled up, but we'll go iron it. And it's good to stick your finger in there and really get that shape out of there. Make sure everything is nice and turned right side out. If you're having a hard time doing that, you might want to get, I don't know, like a pencil or a chopstick or a knitting needle or something, and make sure that all of these areas are all turned right side out. I like to push it a little bit so I can see my stitches to make sure the whole thing turned right side out. Now we're just going to go over to the ironing board and iron this whole thing flat, and iron the edges of our opening like that so we can hand sew that shut. We're going to go ahead and just press this flat just to get the wrinkles out. When I get to the part where I left that opening to turn it, I'm just going to pull, and those edges should pop right in It's a little flat. You can kind of shape it with your fingers a little bit if you want it not to be completely flat, but you know, it's okay. I'm going to press that down pretty well too because I have to go back and hand stitch that shut. The iron is definitely your friend when you're doing this part. I just want to make sure that those are really nice and stuck down in there. Now I'm just going to go ahead and sew this shut. We're going to just go ahead and sew this opening closed just by hand, and I'm just going to do a whip stitch since it's on the top of the cloud. Then I put my stitches pretty close together, probably about 1/8 of an inch together. And just go ahead and whip stitch this whole opening so it closes up. And then I'm going to go through my last stitch, so I'm just going to tie this off. So I took another stitch where I had my last stitch, and before I pull the loop through, I'm going to take my needle and go through that loop and pull it tight. And I'm going to do that 2 more times. And that is how you make a knot without having to tie a knot. That's all closed up, and now all we're going to do is attach these little raindrops that I made. I'm just going to sew them with invisible thread just wherever I want them to hang from the cloud. Gone ahead and cut out 3 little raindrops just out of a piece of flat felt. You can make whatever you want to. I am just gonna go and just do raindrops, but you can put whatever you want to hanging off this cloud. You're gonna use this transparent thread. Now you can't tie a knot in the end. If you try to do that, it's just gonna slip right out. What I like to do is just take a scoop with my needle. I have a double thread. Take a scoop with my needle through the bottom of the cloud, and don't pull my ends through, but then I'm going to take another stitch. I'm holding on to my ends, and I'm going to go through the loop, and that's what's going to hold my thread, my transparent thread, to this cloud. Because I'm telling you, if you try to tie a knot, it's not going to work. So I'm just going to do that in the beginning. I'm going to take my ends and trim those off just so they don't get tangled up. And the rest of this part is really easy. There's my transparent thread attached to the bottom of my cloud, and I'm just going to take a stitch through my raindrop and say, ooh, I want this raindrop to hang down about that much. And same thing, because you can't do a knot. Take another stitch through the top, go through your loop, pull it tight. I'm going to do that 1 more time. And I'm pulling it pretty tight, but just know that these are really light. It's not like they're going to, if you don't have a tight knot, it's going to come off because it's just a piece of felt. So I'm going to trim that one too. When this hangs up, it just has this little raindrop coming down from it, like that. And I'm going to go ahead and attach my other 2 raindrops and show you the finished product.